All right, everybody. It is Wednesday, January 22nd. It's almost 1 p.m. West Coast time. I'm taking a break from TikTok for a couple of days, but I still want to do a DailyHawk news update for you guys. So that's what I'm going to do right now. If you like this video, please subscribe to my page, give us a like, leave a comment, even if it's a nasty one. And thanks for watching. So Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense, allegedly believed that women should not vote or work and that Christians needed to have more children so they could overtake the Muslim population in the United States. The remarks come from sworn testimony from his ex-sister-in-law. His former sister-in-law submitted a sworn affidavit to the Senate and to Congress, wherein she relayed these feelings that Mr. Hegseth allegedly has, as well as detailing the numerous times at family functions and other events where Mr. Hegseth got so drunk he passed out. So, I guess we'll wait and see if there are any Republican members of the Senate who are actually willing to stand up to Donald Trump and not place control of the largest organization on the planet, including the entirety of the U.S. military, in the hands of an alleged alcoholic, rapist, philanderer who doesn't believe that women should be allowed to vote or work and should just be pumping out Christian babies so that white Christians can overtake the Muslim population in the United States. Okay, the Spanish version of the White House website has been taken down, along with the Constitution. So, but just because the Constitution is not on the White House's website does not mean that it is not, still enforceable. But, I mean, Donald Trump won something like 60% of the vote among Latino and Hispanic men in the United States. So I guess to thank them, he has taken down the Spanish version, the Spanish language version of the White House website. So we saw a video the other night when Donald Trump was in the Oval Office on Monday night when he had the press in and basically conducted a bit of a freewheeling 90-minute long press conference as he was signing his 100 or so executive orders. One of the reporters said, "Mr. President, did Joe Biden leave you a letter?" And he was like, "Oh, I don't know." He hadn't opened the top drawer of the desk yet that he was sitting at. He opened the desk drawer. He's like, "Oh," and he holds up a letter. "Yeah, he left me a letter. Maybe I should open it now and read it to everybody." And then he decided not to do that. But he did release the text of what Joe Biden wrote to him as follows: "As I take leave of this sacred office, I wish you and your family all the best in the next 4 years. The American people and the people around the world look to this house for steadiness in the inevitable storms of history, and my prayer is that in the coming years will be a time of prosperity, peace, and grace for our nation. May God bless you and guide you as he has blessed and guided our beloved country since our founding, signed Joe Biden." I personally have never written a letter like that to an adjudicated rapist, convicted felon, fraudster who owes the state of New York over $500 million and who ran an explicitly, unapologetically racist, misogynist, bigoted, homophobic, transphobic, ableist presidential campaign. But that's just me. Joe Biden is an institutionalist to the very end. The Trump Organization instructed all federal health agencies to pause all external communications, such as health advisories, weekly scientific reports, updates to websites, and social media posts. The instructions were delivered Tuesday to staff at Department of Health and Human Services, the Food and Drug Administration, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the National Institutes of Health. So they're no longer permitted to communicate with the public, and they are no longer permitted to communicate with each other until Donald Trump says otherwise. That's exactly what you want, heading into a potential bird flu pandemic that I'm sure we will be expertly guided through by Donald Trump, RFK Jr., and Dr. Oz. Stock up on N95 masks and hand sanitizer because the bird flu is an influenza virus. It can survive on surfaces for 24 to 48 hours. COVID was a coronavirus, which does not have that capability. The bird flu virus is sticky and lives on surfaces. So please stock up on N95 masks and hand sanitizer because at some point in the next 18 months, it will achieve human-to-human transition and we will be off to the races. Transmission, excuse me. Republican House member Young Kim from California believes that Donald Trump does not have the right or the ability to extend the TikTok ban for 75 days, as he did in an executive order signed Monday night, instructing his incoming Attorney General Pam Bondi to not enforce the law for a period of 75 days. Representative Kim said the following: "The law is very clear, right? If you don't have a deal and if TikTok wasn't sold to an American company by January 19th, or at least have a contract, then the ban takes effect. There is no gray area on this issue." I mean, I guess it's good to see one Republican standing up to Donald Trump. Trump also Monday night pardoned all but 14 of the January 6th defendants who've been arrested and prosecuted. The remaining 14 were members of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. He commuted their sentences, some of which were up to 22 years in prison. Just a day after his January 6th case was released or dismissed, Daniel Ball was arrested again for pending federal gun charges, the first public arrest warrant filed in Washington, D.C. during Trump's second term. Other J6 defendants that Trump pardoned, there was one who caught a bunch of additional charges after he was plotting to kill the FBI agents who investigated him. And there is another. All right, welcome back to part two. Sorry about that. My furnace guy showed up. Donald Trump is feverishly working on scheduling individual meetings with every House Republican. The reason that he is doing this is because the margin in the House is going to be 217 to 215, Republicans to Democrats. Republicans are not going to be able to afford to lose a single vote on any piece of legislation. Every Republican vote will be the most important Republican vote. And so he's gonna start his intimidation tour with Republican House members who he think might vote against him on certain bills. That's what this is about. So I'm glad I'm not a Republican member of the House right now. Let's see. Trump orders thousands of troops to the southern border. It is unclear. It's active duty U.S. military troops are being ordered to the southern border. It is unclear which units are being ordered to the southern border or what they're going to do when they get there. The Proud Boys are back. So that's awesome. With Trump's pardons, and he commuted the sentences of all of the senior Proud Boy leadership who had gotten between 10 and 22 years in federal prison for seditious conspiracy. So now the Proud Boys, he did the same thing for senior leadership for the Oath Keepers, including its leader, Stuart Rhodes. Enrique Tarrio was the former president of the Proud Boys. And their sentences have been commuted. They did not receive full pardons, so they are still going to be convicted felons, unable to own guns, but they don't have to serve the rest of their prison time. This is going to be a huge shot in the arm for recruiting for both of these organizations, because these pardons and commutations demonstrate quite clearly that political violence will not only be tolerated but rewarded when it is carried out on behalf of President Donald Trump. So that's fantastic. Speaking of the pardons, I don't know why. I was shocked at the breadth and the scope of his pardons. I firmly believed that he was going to issue pardons to everyone who was inside the Capitol on January 6th, who did not engage in property destruction, violence against police, or conspiring seditious conspiracy Proud Boys Oath Keepers. I knew that lower group was going to get full pardons, but the fact that he pardoned full unconditional pardons for all of the people who beat the shit out of police officers was stunning to me. He did not pardon the senior leaders of the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, but he commuted their sentences and ordered them to be released from prison immediately. That was shocking to me, even for Trump. And, you know, call me naive, I guess. But, you know, Trump was the reason they were there at the Capitol that day. They were trying to overturn an election. They were trying to violently halt the peaceful transfer of power, the first time that's ever happened in this country in 250 years. It makes an absolute mockery of 5 years worth of work of FBI agents, prosecutors, federal judges, some of whom Trump appointed, after an effort that included charges against 1,583 defendants, more than 1,000 guilty pleas, and more than 200 convictions at trial. This is a pure authoritarian move. This is what authoritarians do when they gain power. They pardon people who have broken the law or committed violence on their behalf before they came back to power. Long track record through history of this. And it's certainly a signal about what may be coming in the next 4 years in this country. And it's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. Only 58% of Americans disapprove of Trump pardoning all of the people who were convicted of crimes relating to January 6th. Donald Trump doesn't care about that. President Trump, quoted by Axios as his staff grappled with how to pardon those convicted in the January 6th attack on the Capitol, Trump said, "Fuck it, release them all." Cool. Police unions that endorse Donald Trump have blasted the pardons. The Fraternal Order of Police and the International Association of Police Chiefs roundly condemned his pardons of criminals who assaulted police officers. He doesn't care about that either. CNN's chief warned all of their on-air talent to avoid mentioning parts of Donald Trump's past, including his felony convictions and impeachments, during Inauguration Day broadcasts. So fuck CNN. They are terrible. They are terrible. They are terrible. Republicans are largely falling in line with Trump's pardons. We saw so many Republicans, House and senators yesterday saying, "I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with that. I haven't read the order yet. I need to read more about this. I haven't read it yet. I can't answer that right now. I need to read it," and then ducked into an elevator. They'll get in line. President Trump is following through on his plans to remove employment protections from federal employees, and has already issued an order laying off every federal employee who implements, manages, is responsible for, participates in any type of DEI training throughout the executive branch. They're gone at the end of today. Trump has ordered all federal employees to return to the office for work. And I saw a TikTok this morning from one woman whose sister is a federal employee, and the actual office of the agency that she works for is in Washington, D.C., and she lives in another state, hundreds of miles away. So she was instructed, move to Washington, D.C., or start looking for another job. These things combined are likely to lead to a mass exodus of skilled workers in the federal government. Yesterday, we were all very, very pleased to see a bishop named Marianne Edgar Budde, Budde, confront Trump and his family and his members of his administration to their face, imploring him to have mercy on gay, lesbian, and transgender community, transgender children, as well as undocumented immigrants. She said, "I ask you to have mercy upon people in our country who are scared right now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives." It was an amazing moment because that National Prayer Inauguration Day service is typically not a political event. Donald Trump demands an apology from the Episcopal Church. He demands an apology after Bishop Marianne Budde allegedly lectured him during a prayer service, said Trump. The so-called bishop who spoke at the National Prayer Service on Tuesday morning was a radical left, hardline Trump hater. She brought her church into the world of politics in a very ungracious way. She was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was very boring and uninspiring. She is not very good at her job. She and her church owe the public an apology. Representative Mike Collins from Georgia wants that bishop to be deported. They're fucking morons. A plea for mercy made inside of a church, and Trump demands an apology. That's the fucking balls on this guy, man. It's amazing. 22 states have already sued Donald Trump to prevent his executive order doing away with the explicit constitutional right of birthright citizenship. So there's going to be a lot of litigation going on by the end of this week. We're going to close this episode out with a quote of the day. Danish Member of Parliament Anders Vistisen said on the floor of Parliament, "Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been a part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It is an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, fuck off." Oh, man, I wish our members of Congress had that kind of chutzpah. That would be so amazing. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Daily Hawk. If you like this episode, please tune in for more and subscribe to our page. Give me a like on this video, leave a comment, and thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Have a good week. Stay safe.